We've all heard the term history repeats itself. And when we look at Vancouver's real estate market as a whole, it's actually scary how similar it is to last year when we get into the real estate stats. And what does this mean for you if you're a seller? Well, I personally believe that you need to sell your property now, get it on the market if you haven't already, and just offload it as soon as possible. And if you're buying a property, well, I honestly think there's more opportunity ahead, so I would tell you that you should wait. And why do I say that? Well, when we look at the real estate market as a whole and all the data that we have, which we're going to get into here shortly, it points to exactly that. And then afterwards, I'm going to give my 2 cents on what you should do depending if you're a buyer or a seller. And then at the end, I'm going to show you two real estate tools that are an absolute game changer depending if you're a buyer or seller. So stick around for that. So here we have the home prices. And I just want to back up just for 1 second here. This is the all residential prices. So this is going to include detached townhomes and condos. And if you're looking for more specific data on just the detached or just the condos or just the townhomes, don't worry, I got you covered. So stick around for that. But this is just to get a sense of what's happening here as a whole. And so right now, as you can see here, prices from really back of since March have been declining. And now we're past the price point of last year, early 2024. So prices are, as you can see here, on the way down. And most really what's going to happen here is, as I mentioned earlier, that history repeats itself, is we're going to see probably a little bit more price reduction here in the home prices. And then it's most likely going to kind of plateau here coming into the winter months. But as you can see here, month over month, year over year, things are going down. And then the last one being the sales to active listing ratio. And so if you don't know what that means, essentially it's all of the actives currently on the market versus the sales that are happening month over month. And so as you can see here, we're basically sliding more and more towards a buyer's market. Or we're actually in a buyer's market right now because as per the board states, 12% to 20% is the balanced market. And 20% or above is a seller's market and 12% or below, well, it's a buyer's market. And this is just total. So as we're going to see here in the data here, detached, not looking so good. So we'll get into that in a little sec here. But the next thing I want to talk about is new listings. And so this is what I said now is like history is repeating itself to a T. And it's interesting, as you can see here, black graph being last year, blue graph being this year, and how basically the new listings pretty much plummeted in August. And now we're in October now, so we get September's data. And we're basically seeing, quite a few more listings at the market, exactly what it did last year. And so as you can see here, month over month, 35% more new listings. Year over year, it's still a little bit higher than last year, but not too much. And then the 10-year average, which is always kind of interesting, is 20% above. And so we do have more new listings, but it's really not that much more than when compared to last year. But this is where the opportunity comes. But obviously we are in the middle of October. And so what we're going to see here is a lot of new listings, a lot of less new listings come on the market as we get into the fall here, just less activity. And just people don't want to sell their properties or want to come to the market in the wintertime when they're just going to wait until spring when most of the activity happens here. But the next graph here is the total inventory. Again, when we're looking at the last year's data versus this year's data, it's pretty much, the same trajectory. Obviously, it's a little bit more. And what we see here is down the 10-year average is that we're over 36% higher than the 10-year average, which is insane. And obviously last year, there's quite a bit more listings. So we have a lot more competition if you're a seller and a lot more options if you're a buyer when it comes to the inventory here. But the next graph is also what I'm saying here is when sellers, you need to get your house on the market if you're thinking about right now, because right now we're literally in the middle of October here. And if history repeats itself, which all the other graphs have basically indicated that it's going to, is that October sales are going to increase here. So we're really in the middle of October. So once we get October's numbers out in November, we'll know exactly how many sales are happening here. But there's a lot more sales because essentially there's really two times of the market when people want to, I shouldn't say people, but buyers come out. And last year is a clear example of what statistically happens is that we have a lot more sales in the beginning of the year. We have March, April, May, it kind of, plateaus, and then summertime comes and it comes back down, down, down. And then all of a sudden, September, October, people are back from vacation. They're back from their holidays. They're like, you know what? It's not a bad time to try and purchase a property or sell a property before the winter hits, when really activity pretty much comes to a standstill here. And so what we're going to see, in my opinion, is a lot more sales in this month right now, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And now in this next segment, I want to dig a little bit deeper, more into the detached houses, the townhomes, and condos. And then at the end, I'm going to give my 2 cents, and then they're going to show you those 2 real estate tools that I think are an absolute game changer. And so as we can see here, prices have continued to trend downwards. And if it follows what it did last year, it'll most likely plateau, or just the curve will slow down a little bit here as we hit November, October, December. And as you can see here in the data here, just the last 3 months window here is prices have continued to come down. Sales have actually come down. And the listings, which was interesting because I showed you last time that listings also just new listings just spiked. And so a lot of new people are bringing their house on the market over last month. So there's lots of new listings. And then the sales to active listings ratio, the complete market was 11.3 or something. So it's just into a buyer's market. But the detached market, as you can see here, is well into a buyer's market. We're at 8.5%. And this, if I remember correctly, we haven't seen this. Well, back in 2008 was basically when it was like 6 across the board. But this specifically, we haven't seen this, I think, since 2012 as far as in the detached market. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But my guess is we're going to continue to see a slight decline, and then it's going to plateau or kind of flatten off here come the winter. But the next segment is kind of interesting in my opinion, because if we follow again last year's data, we're going to see a slight uptick here. But I just don't see that happening, honestly. Like I see prices probably kind of following the same trend here as the detached market, where like it's going to come down a little bit more and it's going to kind of plateau here come in the wintertime, when just activity is just kind of at a snail's pace almost, or just a standstill here. But as you can see, prices have continued to slide downwards. Sales have come down. New listings are up, kind of the same as the detached market. And the last one being the sales to active listings ratio, we're at 12.7%. So technically it's a balanced market by the board standards, but I don't think so, in my opinion here. But let's move on to the last segment here, is the condo and apartment segment. Again, we're seeing prices steadily decline here. Less sales, well, slightly less sales than last, but then a whole bunch more new listings. So as you can see here, just from detached, attached to condos, it's a whole bunch of new activity or new listings hitting the market here. And then the sales to active listings ratio, it's a little bit better, but again, you're hearing it all over the place, is that new construction, developers are folding. Like there's a lot of bad things happening to the condo market. And so I imagine that this is going to only get worse here. But what I want to touch on as well is just what the real estate board has been saying. And so this is the report that they came out with: fall market favors buyers. And again, I would agree. Well, and I would say that the market has been favoring buyers for quite some time, and it's probably only going to get more in favor as time goes on here for buyers. But another Bank of Canada rate cut and easing prices helps home sales registered on MLS edge higher relative to September of last year. That is true that sales are higher, but prices are not higher, and we have more inventory than last time. So it's kind of not good. With another cut to the Bank of Canada's policy rate behind us, and markets pricing in at least one more cut by the end of the year, so they're being optimistic here, Vancouver home buyers have reason to be optimistic about the fall market. Easing prices, nearing record high inventory levels, and increasing favorable borrowing costs are offering those looking to purchase a home this fall with plenty of opportunity. Yeah, and I would say that there's going to be more opportunity ahead for buyers as well as we come into the fall here. And analysts of the historical record suggest downward pressures on home prices occur when the ratio dips below 12% for a substantial or sustained period, while home prices often experience upward pressure when surpassing 20% over several months. And so this is what I was alluding to earlier, when these sales to active listings ratio, that basically you have 100 homes, and if 12 or less sell in a month, it's a buyer's market. But if 20 or higher sell in that same month, it's a seller's market. And so as we can see here, where prices have continued to decline because the sales to active listings ratio is constantly decreasing as well. So when that happens, prices only can go one spot, and that's just lower. The past few years have been quite challenging for the market, beginning with 2022's rapid increase in interest rates. Yes, major political and policy shifts in subsequent wow, I can't even talk, subsequent years, and recent trade tension with the U.S. weighing on the market. with the acute impacts of these events now fading, we're expecting market activity to continue stabilizing by the end of the year, bearing any foreseen major disruptions. And for the most part, I would, agree with this. We're basically seeing a lot more inventory, more sales right now, but prices are still sliding downwards. So if nothing happens, I would say yes, the market is going to, I wouldn't say balance. It's most likely going to be more in favor of buyers, but at least the pricing will most likely balance out here into the fall or into the winter, sorry. And then I just want to show you a quick little graph here because I always find this interesting, is that the average sale price from all the way back in 1977 to September of this year. And as you can see, prices, well, really the detached market is coming down. The attached market is kind of somewhat stagnant. And same with the apartments. Or the apartment market as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this progressed. But we've obviously gone over a lot of information here. And this, as promised, what does this actually mean for you? And so if you're buying in 2025, here's a few words of wisdom I have for you, or hopefully wisdom, is that listings are at an all-time high. You have lots of new choices. And as we come into the fall here, well, we're in the fall now, is that we have a lot of new listings hitting the market, and there's going to be more sales that are going to happen here, especially if it follows the trend or the path of last year, which, all signs are pointing towards that it's going to. And so activity trends upwards in the fall. And that's what I was alluding to earlier, is that right now we're going to be seeing more activity. And so what'll happen is that when the new listings hit the market, if they're priced appropriately, I'm pretty confident they will sell, because right now we have a lot of inventory that's just sitting. And a lot of the buyers that you're competing with are, they're not going after those ones because those houses have been on the market for quite a long time. And so any new houses that come on the market that I would say are fair priced and they're a good product, they're going to sell. I would say so, because there's more competition now. Now, what I'm not saying is there's going to be a whole bunch of bidding wars happening, but around this time, you're going to be competing with more buyers, because when we look at the data, there's more sales happening around this time. The next one here being that prices are trending downwards. We've seen that since all the way since March, beginning of this year, really. And the only thing that's interesting though is if we compare it to last year's data from the townhomes aspect, we may see an increase here. Now, I say may because I don't fully buy into that. Just again, with everything that's going on here and everything that's happening in the market, most likely what's going to happen is all the sectors are going to continue to decrease. We're going to see a plateau or just kind of flat line here as far as pricing goes in the winter months. And so the next thing I would say is, can you wait? Because right now you might have a little bit more competition because there's more buyers out there right now. But really when it comes to just the pricing, because pricing has been sliding downwards for quite some time. And so it most likely will slide down farther. Now, what I'm not saying is that you should just wait forever, because I don't think that's the answer either. And so if you need to purchase right now, I would say, there's lots of options out there. You have more of the negotiating power because the sales to active listings ratio is more like the market is in your favor right now. And even the board was saying it. And I'm pretty sure any realtor you talk to is going to say that as well. So if you need to buy right now, great. If life circumstances, if you can wait, it's not a bad idea either. And then the next one here is it's still important to get pre-approved. I say this every single video, every single time, is that the last thing you want to do is go through all this headache, go through all this work, go see a bunch of properties, find one, offer, accept it, and then realize you can't afford this thing. And so go talk to a banker, go talk to a mortgage lender. And if you need one, I got a connection here. I'm more than happy to provide to you. But it's just so important to go ahead, do all your due diligence, get everything in order. And actually one of the tools that I'm going to show you here is going to allude to that and help you just prepare and know what to expect and the costs associated with home ownership, so that you're not blindsided when that time comes. But now if you're thinking about selling here in 2025, these are the words that I have for you, is that sales trend upwards here in the fall. So it's kind of your last chance. Now, obviously it's not your last chance because, your house is on the market. There's, people will come through. But right now we're seeing more activity as far as sales happening. Buyers are coming out of the woodworks just for this time of year. And it's really, like I say, it's in the data. You can see, like, we followed the trend exactly to a T when it comes to sales, which is always so interesting, just how the market is that way. And so I say last chance because there's going to be more people that want to purchase before the snow comes. And so this is where I'm saying, like, If people come to your doorstep, negotiate with them seriously. Don't just brush them off, but negotiate with them seriously. And then pricing across the board is coming down, except townhomes. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I said this to the buyers as well, that there may be an opportunity if you're a townhome that like, hey, prices might come up here, but I just don't realistically see that happening. What I see happening, like I said in the other to the buyers there, is that when it comes to pricing, is most likely going to continue to trend downwards, and then when we hit the wintertime, it's most likely going to plateau, and then obviously from there, who knows what's going to happen here. But then the next thing is the detached will take the biggest hit. We've seen that already in the data there, that the prices, if you look from last year to now, or even from March of this year, because that's really when prices started sliding down from all segments, is that detached is going to take the biggest hit. And so this is where it kind of comes into this idea, okay, am I thinking about downsizing? I'm thinking about downsizing. Well, you want to get the most amount of money. Now, this is the hard part to really like think about. Do I think prices are going to be higher from a year from now? I don't think so. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. This is where like this idea that like it could improve by then, but it's hard to say. And so right now might be the highest price point you can get for your property for quite some time. And so, if you're thinking about downsizing, you need to downsize, then now might be a great opportunity to sell. The kind of the flip is on that as well, where like the condo market or the detached market hasn't decreased as much as the main houses have. And so there's an opportunity here where the gap between, the condo and the townhome has never been closer. The gap between the townhome to the detached have never been closer. And so this may be an opportunity for you to upsize into a bigger property, granted you can afford it, right? And then the next point here is that listings are high. So there's still lots of competition here. And we've seen that in the data, right? We've seen the new listings in September skyrocket exactly the same way it did last year. And so you have lots of new competition. And so you need to stand out. You need to be that property on the neighborhood where it's like, we have the, everything that's not broken. You fixed everything. They walk in, it's beautiful. Doesn't mean like it's got to be like brand new, but like you just want them to walk in. The home is clean. There's no broken knobs, broken tabs, or anything like faulty. They go around, they see, what, this place has been well taken care of, and that's what the impact you want to have. And so that's kind of which leads me to my next point: is you need to price your home sharp, because if prices continue to go trend downwards, which I think they will, how far, I'm not too sure. Nobody knows. But if they continue to trend downwards, you don't want to be that guy where the analogy I always like to use, if the market's here and you want to price your property up here to test the market, that's fine. Okay, you do that. But a month goes by and now the market's down here, but that month has gone by. You're like, okay, now I'm going to lower the price of my property. Okay, you're down here, but now you're still not at where the market needs to be. So you're literally going to like chase this market down, which is what you don't want to do right now. Promise me, I've seen too many clients and people just in general do this, and it just doesn't boast well for you. And the last reason, which kind of ties into that as well, is that you need to know your reason for selling, because you are in a tough market right now. The market is in favor of the buyers, and it's becoming more in favor of the buyers. And so what I would say is you just want to know your reason for selling, because you're going to go through some stuff, and maybe you don't, maybe it's seamless and it works well depending on your market, your pricing strategy, but it could be difficult. And so the last thing you want to do is go through all of this stuff only to not sell. So keep that in mind. And so if you're a buyer or a seller, I'm just curious, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What are you seeing out there in your neighborhood? Put it in the comments there. And if you're looking for some more information or just different stats that I haven't posted here that you would like to see, just let me know. I'm always trying to make these market update videos better and just make you more informed at the end of the day. But as promised, here's the first tool that I want to show you here. It's What's My Home Worth? It's Zero Conversation Home Evaluation. You literally just scan this thing, put in your address, and it's going to spit you out a home valuation of your home in a matter of seconds. So this is great for you if you're thinking about, putting your house on the market. Hey, what is my home worth in today's market? And what this tool does is it grabs all the current solds, the current actives, and it's got a bit of AI involved as well. And it literally spits out a price which you should sell your home. It kind of gives you a low, a medium, and a high. So what I'm going to do here is just quickly grab my phone here. I'm going to scan this QR code, and it's going to show me what's my home worth. Get your home value in under 10 seconds. And so what we need to do here is just load up realtor.ca, go pick a property, or put your own address in, really. But this is just to show an example here. So what I'm going to do here is just click a random listing here. This one here, perfect. It's that for almost 2 million bucks here. So what we're gonna do here is put the address in. That's the one. Email, phone number. Literally gonna hit send. Perfect. Check the inbox. Okay, perfect. There it is. So it's $1,858,000. And if we go back to the listing here, so it's about 100 grand, a little over 100 grand less. And so how many days in the market? 9 days. So this either just got a price reduction or literally just hit the market. So, but there you go, just to show you exact tool of how this thing works. It's pretty handy. And again, if you're thinking about selling your property, it's a great way just to see how much your home would sell in today's market. Or if you're curious and you have your home listed currently for sale, go check it out. See what see what it compares to when it comes to your property. Now, full transparency, I will be getting your contact information. Myself or someone from my team will reach out to you. It's literally just to see if you need any help. And if you don't, all good, we'll go on our way. But if you do need some help on your specific situation, I'll give my 2 cents and see if I can help you. Now, this is the second tool that I want to show you here, and it's a true home cost calculator. It's super handy. And so we have a buy tab, a sell tab, and an own tab. And so if you're buying a home, you're wondering what the heck is involved and what are the costs are associated to purchasing a home. These are all the things you need to fill out. And then the sell tab, same thing. If you think about selling your property, here are all the costs associated to selling a home. And then the last one here is the own tab. And so if you currently own a home, or really realistically, if you're buying a home and you're wondering what the heck is involved in home ownership, because the last thing I want you to do is go purchase a home and not understand the full cost of home ownership. And so what you literally do here is you just type in the home value, the property tax, home annual maintenance, a whole bunch of stuff here. Now, if you know the mortgage amount that you're thinking about, if you don't, you can just use this mortgage calculator that's built into the tool here. And at the end here, also strata. If the property's not strata, then don't worry. And it literally just spits you out a monthly cost, and then you can know going into it how much a property is going to cost you to own it on a monthly basis. And just remember, this is after tax dollars here. And so what I'm going to do here is leave this link in the description. You can play around with this tool because I thought it was super handy and something that I wished I had before buying my home. So hope you find that helpful. Now, if you do want some advice just on your current situation, because again, this information in this video here is generic information, generic stats on what I'm seeing out there in the real estate market. And I'm pretty confident that depending on your specific situation, it's going to be a little bit different. So if you want some tailored advice to your situation, don't hesitate to reach out. But if you want to learn a little bit more about that second tool that I showed you, you're going to want to watch this video right here where I literally walk you through step by step, whether you're buying, selling, or the cost of home ownership. So go check that one out. But as always, I appreciate you sticking around. If you want to subscribe or like this channel so the algorithm sends you more content, much appreciated. If not, all good. And we'll see you in the next one.